This is the Para Cave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Parramatta Leagues Club, home of the Eels, and also home of Jack's Pale Ale.
Welcome to another episode of the Para Cave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Para Cave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Para Cave Podcast. Troy Warner here, and it is the NRL Round review, round number 18, done and dusted for another year. And look, it was a shortened round because of State of Origin on Wednesday night. How good is that going to be? Game number 3, the decider at Accor Stadium. New South Wales and Queensland won all, but there will be a preview of that coming out as well before that game, so stay tuned for that one. So it was a shortened round. Origin Stars not playing, and it was the Bulldogs taking on the Broncos at Accor Stadium first up, and good crowd, 25,234 attended there. Obviously, the NRLW Bulldogs played beforehand against the Newcastle Knights as well, a new club into the NRLW competition, so hopefully plenty of people got out there to see that one. But look, it was the Bulldogs early on in this game who I thought anyway, were in control of this game. It was 16-0 at half-time, and you thought even without Max King, Stephen Crichton and Jacob Kiraz as well, and Kurt Mann, you thought, well, look, I think the Bulldogs, they learnt a big lesson against the Panthers the week before. They gave them a good shake, and the Broncos, you thought, well, they were never in the game, but turn into that second half and that 60th minute, and boy, the Broncos, they came from 16-0 down to get the victory. It was 4-3, and 22-18 was the final result. And what a result for the Broncos. Yeah, they've been under a lot of pressure lately, I guess. They've had a good couple of wins. They had to come from behind to beat the Sharks. And a couple of weeks ago, and they've done it again now against the Bulldogs. So at home, this is twice they've beaten the Bulldogs this season. Seems like they could be a little bit of a bogey side for the Bulldogs, having beaten them twice this season. Obviously, once I think they were the first team to beat the Bulldogs this season up there at Suncorp Stadium. They've done it now at Accor Stadium. So the Bulldogs, they will be a bit disappointed with that one, obviously. Chance to be equal leaders on the NRL ladder, but now that the Canberra Raiders have won, they are outright leaders. So a little bit disappointing. 2 losses in a row now for the Bulldogs. Look, they do still have their stars to come back, Crichton, Max King, Kurt Mann, and Jacob Kiraz as well. And look, with Jacob Kiraz, it raises that really interesting question. And look, I think MG on 2GB raised it the other day. Should the 18th man for Origin be allowed to play now in club games? So both Reece Walsh for Brisbane and Jacob Kiraz for the Bulldogs were 18th men for New South Wales and Queensland, and the rule states that they can't play in their club games if their club is playing in the NRL. Now, the Bulldogs, they have suffered, I think, all throughout this series, with Matt Burton being the 18th man, and 5 in total for him now. But Jacob Kiraz, he was the 18th man this time. He's on cover for Brian To'o, who's battling through a injury, but looking like he may play. But the 18th men, should they be allowed to play in their club games if they're playing? I think they should be. Look, there is plenty of... it should be left up to the player, I think. And the reason I say it should be left up to the player is they should be allowed to play in their club games. And look, the clubs are the ones who pay their yearly contracts, and they are the ones that they are employed by, and the representative honours come on top of that. So, look, will they be disappointed that would Jacob Kiraz have been the difference in this game? Look, you just don't know. I'm not saying that if he was playing that the Bulldogs would have won, but it certainly would have been handy having him in that side. So I think they should be able to play in their club games. Look, obviously, if it's a game in Perth or something like that, mate, and it's 5-6 hours away, that probably does make it a little bit difficult to come back for a club game and then go back for an Origin game. The bit of travel there, but obviously if it's in Sydney or Brisbane, the games, that's only an hour flight away. Even if the game's in Melbourne, that's only an hour flight away from Sydney. So look, that's not that bad a travel, and look, it would not rob the fans of seeing these stars play. So I think they should play, and let me know your thoughts on whether the 18th player for the clubs should be allowed to play in their club games. The next game, well, that was a cracker of a game too, to be honest. There were some really good games over the weekend, even though the Origin players weren't playing. The next game was at Canberra, GIO Stadium. Crowd of 15,932, was part of a double header as well as the NRLW sides. Canberra and the Dragons were playing beforehand. This game was in attendance. It's obviously very cold down in Canberra as well at this time of year, obviously, but it was the Raiders, 28 points to 24. They got the victory, although they got a little bit of a scare from the Dragons. 28-24, as I said. The Raiders, it was 12-6 at half-time. I thought potentially they're in control. The Dragons are having a real big dig here. They got disallowed a try to Tyrell Sloan from a forward pass from Moses Sully, which I thought was not forward. I thought that could have been a try. That could have been the difference. Well, that was the difference between winning and losing, but they had other opportunities as well to score tries. Kyle Flanagan, he got another try as well this weekend after his one against Parramatta the week before, kicked 3 out of 4, and also one penalty goal as well. But the star of the show on Saturday night was Kaio Weeks. 3 tries, and I dead set think 2 of them were absolutely amazing. It almost reminded me of Brett Mullins and his time back down in Canberra, that 1994 season. But exciting young fullback that the Raiders do have, and 2 of those tries, especially the one where he's picked up a loose ball, I think it was, from the Dragons, and he's pretty much run 80 metres, I think it was. But the one that he ran, he kick return one, that was amazing. I think he brushed off Damien Cook, I think, and then sort of made his way dodging and weaving up the middle. Had to step the referee as well, Mr. Sutton, at one point there, and then went on to score. That is a cracker of a try. It probably will go down as maybe, or it will be one of the contenders of try of the season, but that was a great try, that one. And Morgan Smithies as well, the Englishman. He got his first try in the NRL, so congratulations to him for getting that. Just jolly on the spot after a kick, and the Dragons fumbled it, and he was jolly on the spot and put the ball down. Not much to do there, but good, I guess you could say, anticipation, chasing the kick, being competitive, and was jolly on the spot and got the ball and touched it down, and was his first NRL try. So congratulations to him. And the Raiders now, they go into outright lead of the competition, and they are looking pretty good to get their first minor premiership, I think, since 1994, I think it was. So they are looking the goods at the moment. They go into their second bye this weekend. The next game that was played on Saturday was the Cowboys and Storm up there in Townsville, and it was a win to the Storm, 26 points to 20. Now, look, a lot of people probably did expect the Storm to win, but the Cowboys, they hung in there. 20,383 fans witnessed this game. Nick Meaney, 4 from 4, also scored a double as well. Did a couple of try celebrations in Try July as well. Great to see the players getting around that one. 12 all at half time, still anybody's game. And look, an important game for the Cowboys. They've been struggling. Important game for the Storm as well, as they were without their Origin stars. Obviously the Cowboys without their best players as well due to Origin, most notably Tom Dearden. But Scott Drinkwater, he stepped up. Jake Clifford, he had a great game as well. Check out the try from Jackson Purdue as well. Absolute cracker of a try, and he has got a big future in the game. A lot of pace, and just basically outran the Storm defence for a try. So an important win for the Storm. They now fall into second position, I think it is, on the ladder, so we'll go through that one a little bit later. But look, the Cowboys, I don't know where they go from here in terms of how they can get some confidence back and get some wins. I don't know if they'll make the 8 this season. I think they may just miss out because they are not getting the wins that they need to. This was a prime opportunity at home, and yes, their best players were out as well, but we have seen that next man up mentality where teams have had players out and they get the victories. So this was one that they could probably have penciled in, well, not penciled in as a win, but penciled in as a game that they should give it a real red-hot crack and get the victory. But unfortunately it wasn't, and the Melbourne Storm got the victory. There were some shots of Craig Bellamy in the coach's box, as he has been in the past and as he always known for, where he was blowing up at times. Very, very entertaining to watch, I guess you could say, as we know what Craig is. He will now go into State of Origin camp as an assistant advisor, I guess you could say, to Laurie Daly. The next game on the Sunday was the Roosters taking on the Tigers, and wasn't this a nail-biter right at the end? 24,311 watched this game, and it was the Tigers who I think snapped a 6-game losing streak to get this victory. So very happy fans in Tiger Town today. They really played well. They blitzed the Roosters in the first half, 20 points to 10 in the first half. The Roosters came back a little bit in the second half and thought maybe they might just jag the victory, which would have been absolutely disappointing for the Tigers. Coach Benji Marshall, as he has been seen previously, was coaching from the sideline, getting in the action as well. He was very vocal on the sidelines as well, and really involved in the game as well. So a little bit of history as well for rugby league and the Tigers, especially the Whānau brothers. All three of them scored a try on the weekend: Latu, Sione and Samuela. Look, Latu Whānau, what a find he is. I guess from all reports there was a lot of talk that he had a lot of potential. And look, he's come into that half-back position now with Lockie Galvin leaving the club, and is playing some really good footy, and an excitement machine to watch. So great to see those three get a try and create a little bit of history. Charlie Staines got the other Tigers try. It was 5-4 to the Roosters, and but the Tigers got 3 penalty goals as well, so that was a little bit of a difference there in terms of the scoreboard. So not usually when you score more tries than the opposition do you end up losing the game, but that was the case with the Roosters on the weekend. Mark Nwanga scored a double, and look, so much potential and talk about him in this game. Does he qualify as a Rookie of the Year? He did play, I think, 1, maybe 2 games last year, but this is... He's not really a rookie, he's a rookie to rugby league in terms of NRL, but has come from rugby union, was an ex-Wallaby, and there has been a little bit of talk about whether he will return to rugby in 2027. There is a home World Cup, and I guess if you're a true blue rugby union player, the enticement of playing in a home World Cup, that would be pretty high, I'd think. So not too sure what decision Mark is going to make there. It was in the news during the week, and obviously he was just like, well, I will make that decision when it comes, but now I'm concentrating on the Roosters and playing for them. James Tedesco, he had a real captain's knock again, and looks like he will win another Dally M Medal of the Year. He is playing some great footy, and I think not playing rep footy has really given the Roosters that benefit of having him in the side and leading around the side. The Roosters, I think, took too slow to get into this game. The Tigers, they blew them off the park in the first half. They scored that first try in the 9th minute, and then 23rd, 29th. So they really got off to a good lead, and they were confident, and well done to the Tigers on getting that victory. And look, there's been a lot of talk about the Tigers in the news of late. Coach Benji Marshall, Adam Dewey at training, and obviously Talon De Silva signing with the Eels, Lockie Galvin a few weeks ago going to the Bulldogs. Is there disharmony at the Tigers? Well, it's come out today that the players dedicated that win to Coach Benji Marshall. So, look, that'll give them a lot of confidence knowing that they did that without Api Coruscant, without Jerome Luai. Their 2 best players, and they still managed to get the victory. The last game of the shortened round was at 4 Pines Park, was the Sea Eagles taking on the Rabbitohs, 2 arch enemies. 17,298 at Brookvale, a good crowd there, pretty much a sellout sort of thing there. The hill was packed, which is always great to see on TV. Ruben Garrick, he got 2 tries, 3 goals. He had a few hard attempts. He's normally a really good sharpshooter with the boot. Not sure what was going on. He had a few sideline conversions which didn't make it any easy for him, but nevertheless, he's a better goal kicker than me. So 14-0 at half time. They really accelerated in the second half. Tom Travojevic, he got a double as well, again playing in the centres. Daly Cherry Evans, he got a try, and didn't he play on the old man status with this July celebrations? He sort of got up and was like walking with a walking stick, as if to say that, oh, well, I'm the old man that you guys keep on saying. He's 36, I think, but looking to go around again next season. But quite funny there. Tallis Duncan, he got a double for the Rabbitohs. quick in succession. 58th minute, 61st, and Isaiah Tass got the last try for the Rabbitohs. Brandon Smith made his debut for the Rabbitohs on the weekend. Unfortunately, has gone down with injury again. Has come out on social media and said, look, it was an accident. Don't be going harsh on Matt Lodge. It was an apparent hip drop. So he is looking at 6 to 8 weeks on the sidelines, which is, look, very close to season ending, and not too good for Brandon, obviously, and South Sydney as well, who had Cody Walker injured as well. So after coming back, or after signing with the Rabbitohs from the Roosters mid-season, looks like potentially his season may be done. He might get 1 or 2 games in at the end of the season, but season 2025 has not been a good one for Brandon Smith. The NRL ladder, as it stands after 18 rounds, well, the Raiders, as I said, are outright leaders on 30 points, and they have their second bye this weekend. So they are looking pretty good for the minor premiership, I must say. And the Melbourne Storm, 28 points. Bulldogs, 28 points. Warriors, 26 points. The Warriors play the Tigers this week over in New Zealand, so it'll be interesting to see how they go this weekend without Luke Metcalf. Obviously, Mitch Barnett has been out for a while now, I think after State of Origin game number 1. So that's your top 4. Then a 4-point gap back to the Broncos on 22. The Panthers, they climb a bit higher as well after their third bye of the season on 21. The Dolphins on 20. Sea Eagles with that win over the Rabbitohs on 20. The Roosters, they're still hanging in there and about on 20 points in 9th position. The Sharks in 10th on 20 points. The Dragons, 18 points, 11th. On 17 points is the Cowboys. On 16 points, a bit of a logjam between 13th and 15th with the Knights, Tigers and Eels. The Rabbitohs on 14 points. They have a bye this weekend. And the Titans round out the ladder with 14 points in 17th position. They take on the Broncos this week. So, look, an interesting point was made during the week from Phil Gould, and we all know Phil Gould. He's very knowledgeable when it comes to rugby league, but he was saying, why do we award points for buys? Why don't we just not award points? Because the ladder just goes, teams go up and down the ladder each and every week because of these buys. They get 2 points for not even playing. But I think he makes a really good point. Why even? I mean, I know as fans, when you do get the bye, it's like, oh yeah, well, we're going to get 2 points here, and we could go up the ladder, which is great. But why don't they just say, well, no points for buys? Just have the weekend off. All the teams have the same thing, so no points for buys, and then you probably get a real sense of a ladder. NRL ladder then, don't you? So because, as I mentioned, the Canberra Raiders, they're only having their second bye this weekend. They've still got another one, so you might as well add another 2 points to their tally. But, you know, why add points to teams' tallies for buys? Just have 0 points, just have the week off. So probably agree with Phil there, to be honest. Looking to round 19, and it is a shortened round again due to State of Origin. 3 teams have got the bye, the Rabbitohs, Raiders and Manly. So only 7 games, I should say, being played this weekend. And it all kicks off on Friday night, 8 p.m. And this is another one of my bugbears as well. And you probably have heard me talk about it before. one game on Friday night. Why does it have to be 8 p.m? Can we move it forward to 7:30 p.m? I don't know. You let me know your thoughts on that one. I think it should be 7:30 p.m. or even 7:45 p.m. kickoff. Just that closer 15 minutes. But that's just what I think. The Sharks take on the Dolphins. Saturday, the Knights take on the Storm. Saturday, the Dragons take on the Roosters. Saturday, the Cowboys take on the Bulldogs. Sunday, there's 3 games on Sunday, a late game at 6:15 p.m. But the first game on Sunday is the Warriors take on the Tigers. The game that I will be at Combank Stadium, the Eels take on the Panthers, 2 arch rivals there. And I guess 2 arch rivals as well, the Titans and the Broncos. Sunday, 6:15 p.m. up there on the Gold Coast. So They should be some cracking games there, I think, especially the Eels and Panthers. Look, the Titans and Broncos, that might be a good game, despite the Broncos being where they are on the ladder and the Titans being on the ladder where they are. Dragons and Roosters, well, they seem to have great clashes between each other. And the Sharks and Dolphins at Shark Park, the Sharks, they need to get a win to stay in contention for that top 8. So some great games there to come. Look forward to those ones. Stay tuned for the tipping podcast later on in the week as to what my tips will be. Thank you very much for listening to this. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the support. And please share it with your family and friends. Give me a follow on Instagram, Facebook, also Apple and Spotify as well. If you subscribe, you will not miss a podcast, as you'll get a notification when it's dropped straight away. The Para Cave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para! How you going, mate? Are you a Para Cave podcast listener?
I am, bro. It's a great podcast. Everyone tune in. Para.
Go Para!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Para Cave Podcast. See you next time.